Swap shirts.
Welcome back, everybody. And this is Saturday, which is normally for us in the morning chats a bit of an intro for what's going to happen on Sunday, like, you know, a bit of the message that we're going to hear. And so Dean has also got a little bit of a little write-up that's going to be down the below for your study groups to have a bit more of a dig into what we're going to talk about, what we're going to hear from Dean. But welcome back, Dean.
Thank you so much. Hello everyone, it's great to see you all again and really looking forward to being with you tomorrow morning. And I guess some of the things I want to talk about tomorrow morning is what the Bible says about justice and what it says about engaging with the poor and helping the poor. Because there's well over 300 verses in the Bible that talk about justice and poverty, and it's bookend from Genesis right through to Revelation and everywhere in between, talking about being a brother's keeper and looking out for one another. And God's got a lot to say about justice and about poverty. And one of the things that I want to mention tomorrow is that God never forgets what we do for the poor.
Just repeat that again.
God never forgets what we do for the poor.
So it's almost like, you know, when we're involved in helping people in need, in their poverty, God not only recognizes it, he does not actually forget, but it's almost an investment where God sort of says, I've seen that one, I'll tag that one. It's like an investment into God's economy. Is that sort of like?
That's right, yeah. Because God's heart is for humanity.
Yes. Yeah.
His heart is for humanity, those who are prospering and those who aren't. God's heart is to see his people doing well. Some have got a lot of physical resource, some are lacking. So, you're a parent yourself.
Yeah.
If you saw one child who could help the other and refused to, it'd be like, what am I teaching you? But if you saw one child choose to help the other with the resource that they had, you'd be a pretty proud parent.
Exactly.
You'd be like, this is the way I want to raise my children, to think beyond themselves, to be generous, to be caring, to have a heart of compassion for others. And so God's church, it's not too much different.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm very pleased with my two sons. You know, the older one, you know, married and they've got a house, but he's looking after the younger one who is at uni and, you know, needs to have a place. And, you know, that's really good, because the thing is that, you know, that connection between the two is ongoing, but now in a different role, because it's no longer under our roof. It's now, you know, under different circumstances. But, you know, you're right. It makes me proud to actually see that they're looking after each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, just as that way, we have God as our Heavenly Father. And I've often heard it said, and I've used those words myself, and there are various other places in her church history who've picked that up, that we are blessed to be a blessing.
Absolutely.
And when we sort of think, no, we're blessed because I'm so important and, you know, just, you know, fill my bucket, it's almost like, you know, I can imagine that the story about, you know, the guy who had the silos and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm just going to build myself more silos and, you know, I'm going to get rich. And then, you know, he said, what, you know, I think it goes on and saying, you know, what a fool, because tonight your soul is going to be taken from you. And that whole story, you know, is about the fact of, you know, there was no compassion to this guy.
Yeah.
It was just all about him.
Yeah.
And God continually uses pictures, stories that tell us of have a compassionate heart. I think, from memory, I'll have to do my own research on that, but I think there's a passage there too that whenever Jesus did ministry, it often says, and compassion moved him, or compassion was in his heart.
Yeah.
It's a movement towards those that are need to do something.
It's interesting you mentioned about the guy with the barns. I'm just going to build bigger barns, and tonight your soul will be asked of you. And you know, I don't think that's necessarily meaning he was going to die.
No. But
what it's saying is, if you keep that attitude, your soul is going to start to die.
Yeah.
You're going to start to die on the inside, because it doesn't matter how much you gather. Gathering doesn't bring joy.
No.
Generosity and passing on and helping someone else.
Yeah.
That's what really brings the joy. That's what brings life and causes their soul to come alive.
Yeah.
I've seen that time and time again. Hey, you know, if gathering things is what brought life, James Packer would be the happiest man in the world, but he's not. It's those who choose to give, those who choose to help someone else. That's what brings life. That's what brings joy. And I've seen it time and time again when I visit the field, where you're sitting in a house where they have absolutely nothing. You're sitting on a dirt floor in a small space the size of a garden shed that 7 or 8 people live in, and yet they will give you the best meal that they know how to prepare, the best of what they have. And there is such joy in what they're giving. It's not like it's a reluctance. It's not like we better give them something. They've got such a smile on their face as they see you enjoying what they've given you.
Yeah.
And to me, that says something. Yeah. That says that gathering doesn't bring joy. Giving is what brings joy and causes our soul to fly and thrive.
Dean, I shared with you a story that in the previous place where I was at, big college, lot of money. People basically, the mums, have their Porsche four-wheel drive, drop off the kids, and when it comes to the formal, the gowns will come from Milan or stuff. It's like money's not an object. And there's one teacher who I think he was also part of. He was part of a sponsorship, and I'm sure it was Compassion, but I'm not quite sure whether it was. But it took him to the Philippines, and he actually met the children that he was sponsoring, and a bit of the same sort of story in the shed and kind of looking at the poverty. But he showed me pictures that he has taken, right? And he said, have a look at this and tell me what you see. And so the background is one of those rubbish tips. They were basically, making their living out of, scavenging and selling the stuff that they got from the rubbish tip. But he had a whole sea of these young kids, all beaming and smiling. And the one that, he was sponsoring, it showed me this car, this, Matchbox car. Mm-hmm. It was obviously in, well pre-loved in the tip. And this little boy found it on the tip, right? It was his prized possession.
Yeah.
And he gave it to him because he came and visited him. And so the thing that he had, the one thing he had, he gave it to him. And now he's holding this and saying, look, every time I see this, I'm connected with this kid in a way that is way beyond money. And there's a soul tie, if you like, that this represents something about the bond that I've got with this kid. But he says, when I came back, we had a bit of a counseling situation because he says, these kids have got nothing and there's so much joy. I come back to the school where kids have got everything given to them, and there's depression, anxiety, misery. They have problems over the fact that their iPhone is not working or something like that. Nothing of poverty, and yet there was a poverty of soul or poverty of spirit. Yes. And I think Dean Usler said, we actually need each other. And this is an interesting part of the story that I think we can unpack too, that I know that you're going to talk about 2 characters, so I'm not going to go and take the thunder away, but come and listen to the 2 characters in the Bible that will talk about this in terms of the fact that we need to have a good look. Sometimes we have a lot and we think we've got everything, but actually we're in poverty.
Yes.
And the others look like they're in poverty, but they've got something that we need. We need each other.
Yes.
And there was a text, I think, in Revelation, one of the churches, where Jesus walks among the churches, those passages there, and then he says, you think you've got everything, but you're actually poor.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would you say is the Western antidote to that poverty? And yet we see the poverty there, but they've got something that gives them so much joy.
Yeah. I think Paul addresses this as well in 2 Corinthians, where he says, at this present time, what you have will supply what they need, but in turn, what they have will supply what you need, and no one's got it all together.
Yeah.
No, we haven't got it all together. They haven't got it all together. We all actually need each other. And at the present time, our physical material resource can supply what they need, but their heart for God and their joy in trials and their sense of contentment in difficult situations can actually bring peace to us in what we need in our current anxiety-driven society, we can learn so much from them, and each church can just can supply what each other needs. Yeah. And yeah, tomorrow I'm really looking forward to sharing about those two characters in the Bible.
Do you want to give us a teaser? A bit of
just a little bit of a teaser about it. Two characters in the Bible. One has a heart for the poor, and the other doesn't, and just how their journey tracks in their experiences with God. So. Just to give you a little bit about what we'll talk about tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So come on down and listen in person or tune in, live stream. But importantly, don't miss out on this fantastic message about the two characters in the Bible journeying along each other, but having totally different ways of looking at life and the opportunities that God gives to them. And I think that's one of the things that I love about compassion, is that it's saying, here's an opportunity where you can make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. A very real, practical opportunity to make a difference in the life of someone in need.
Yeah. All right, tune in tomorrow and have a fantastic day today, and we'll see you when we hear Dean live.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Okay, bye everyone.
See you in the morning.